My name is Marleen Wong, and I'm Assistant Dean for Field Education at the USC School of Social Work. And I'm also the co-principal investigator for the DoDEA grant.
All right. Tell me about some of your personal experiences with military-dependent students and their families.
My experience with military families and with working with DoDEA and in the Pentagon is as a consultant before the Iraq War, when I was asked by the Educational Directorate of the Pentagon to help write some guidance documents for families who were about to be deployed to the Middle East. And I spent about a year working with the staff at the Educational Directorate, and then was asked subsequently to train all the psychologists from around the world. They were gathered together in Washington, D.C. for the first time, and to train them in school mental health issues, because there are many, many schools that are linked with the Department of Defense educational activities from Asia and Europe and Cuba and around the United States, to bring them together and really focus on some of the challenges that they face, as they would with any other school district, with children who are having difficulties, not because of their ability, but because of social and emotional challenges. Then that was followed a couple of years later by being invited by the DoDEA to travel around the world to meet with all the principals in Asia and Europe, from Cuba and in the United States. And in 4 days I received travel orders, jumped on a plane, and began this worldwide tour to really find out from the principals and from the support staff and teachers about how especially the multiple deployments were affecting children who were moving in and out of the DoDEA system.
Well, that's an awesome experience.
Yeah, it was a wonderful experience.
I mean, learning and just travel-wise, that's really cool. How is the organization you're affiliated with address the needs of military-dependent students?
Well, I'm very proud to say that the University of Southern California is the first of the top 10 schools in the country to create a military social work program. This is our second year, and about 35% of our students are veterans of the recent war in Iraq and in Afghanistan. And their mission has transferred from being soldiers at war, military personnel, Marines, Navy personnel, to becoming professional social workers who are going to help heal the wounds of war. And I think that they are going to contribute a lot to the challenges of veterans who return and suffer from the after effects of fighting in those two theaters.
Yeah. What are some of the advantages or challenges that you've encountered with military dependents and their families?
Well, I think military dependents have very many new challenges. I think moving about has been something that's been a part of the military experience for children and families. But because my area of expertise on a national level is with schools, I think what I've seen is that they not only move around a great deal, but they also move around because of deployments, active deployments in wars, in which there have been many losses and many traumas. And you know, children and families now are being faced with new situations in which they also move in and out of the DoDEA system. So they may attend a school in another country and then be deployed to another location, have to move out into a public school, and those are two very different environments.
Yeah, one of my questions with the woman before was, I guess, the difference between base schools and public schools.
Oh, big.
And being in Army Brat as well, I went to a base school and for 3rd grade, and it was awful and I didn't learn anything, and then had to go repeat 3rd grade at a private school off base. Pretty much just because my mom said, you know, they weren't doing what they needed to do. So is there an effort to try and collaborate those schools or eliminate them?
Well, it's interesting, you know, the base schools, if you look overall, I mean, of course there's variation among the base schools, not all are the same, just like there are variations, just as there are variations among all the schools in public schools. But if you look at the overall statistics, if a student starts in a base school and finishes through a DoDEA school, their rates of graduation are much higher and their rates of college entry are much higher. But that has changed because there are very few students now who start in a base school and complete in the DoDEA system. They move in and out. And so what they're finding is whatever the difficulties are in public schools today, they also are in base schools, more so than ever. For instance, if there's bullying, in terms of the culture of schools in general, where bullying is a big problem that's been acknowledged at a national level, that bullying is also taking place in the schools of the bases. If there are gangs in schools, they've also found that gang members also now can move into base schools, into DoDEA schools. Those separations, I think, were much more distinct earlier on, but now with multiple deployments are much more common.
Yeah, I would agree with that. What are you familiar with any initiatives or special programs that target military children or dependents?
Programs that target or serve directly military dependents, there are a broad range of them, both within the services. I would say that they're stronger in the services right now. But one of the challenges and one of the reasons why we wanted to write this grant and to bring services to K-12 schools in the public sector is that there aren't those kinds of support services available. In fact, what I've found is in K schools, they don't even ask the question, is your mother, father, brother, sister in the military? And have you moved a lot from place to place? Are you part of the whole military family? And I think that that's an important question to ask, because we don't think that military children and families necessarily have, you know, more problems. We just think that they have different kinds of problems, and we need to get in there. And if we're you know, as American citizens, we need to support our military families in every way that we can. So just to know that we have a military child in a school, what are the challenges that that child faces? How can we foster resilience, build coping skills, get them into activities as quickly as we can, connect them up with their peers, have a stronger connection with their teachers, because they don't have the time to make those connections on their own. We don't know, and they don't know how long they're going to be in the school. And that's, I think, what our focus needs to be.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I moved to a new high school my sophomore year, and that was trying to meet new friends. And, you know, I moved in the middle of the year, and I moved from Hawaii to Virginia.
Wow.
So I'm this, you know, this
big change, yeah.
You know, and then of course, you know, they're like, you don't look like you're Hawaiian. I'm like, well, I'm not Hawaiian. You know, so it's this, it's the little things that kind of like that add up. So yeah, having a program or even a guidance counselor to
well, and also, you know, how do we get our military students into activities quicker? Because often there are these you know, sort of criteria for joining certain clubs or in athletics, and we just have to break down those barriers so that they can really participate in all the activities that K-12 students are able to, you know, engage in.
Yeah.
Why should the fact that they're part of a military family create a barrier for them?
Yeah. Do you consider the top priorities in working? What do you consider the top priorities in working with military dependent students?
Well, I think that what I mentioned earlier, I mean, I think some of the barriers are the fact that they move so often and suddenly that they are not able to plan where they're going to be or whether they're going to stay in a school for the full year, or whether they're going to enter the school at the beginning of the year with other students. So they're at a disadvantage because they have to learn how to make friends really quickly. I think schools need to support that effort. I think schools need to know they're moving in, that we want to integrate them into the K-12 system as quickly as possible, that if they're interested in sports, if they're interested in a particular club, that we get them into that club, because they don't have the time, and neither does the school, to wait to find out, well, can they wait to the beginning of the next year? You know, their timeline is not the timeline of the K-12 school.
Do you think public education has responded to the needs of military-dependent students?
I think public education as a whole is beginning to be more aware of the needs of military children and families. I think some schools do an outstanding job just because they have large numbers of students, maybe a larger percentage than other schools. I think it's unfortunate that there are some schools where there are fewer numbers of children. They don't even know who those kids are. They don't even know who those students are. And we need to ask the question as a baseline, you know, are you the child of in a military family? It could be mother, father, brother, sister, but part of that whole mission of serving our country. So that, I think, has not been instituted, and that's something our grant is going to work hard to make sure happens in the future.
I think that's an awesome, you know, just a baseline to start with, you know, just to ask that question and know.
They ask if the student is homeless. There are far fewer homeless children than there are military children.
Yeah. I know that it's just kind of started, but what are some of the valuable lessons from this workshop you hope to take from, or have you already?
Having done some of the training that is going on in this workshop, I think that it will emphasize some of the experiences that are unique to a student who is a part of the military mission. I think it will point out the ways in which school district officials, of whom many are here today, can change their policies and procedures to be more welcoming to military students. I think it will help those of us who are in the military social work program to think of programs that we can institute to support military students. And I think it will emphasize strength-based approaches, not what are the problems that military students have, because they also have tremendous coping skills that many other students don't have. The fact that they can move and can make friends and can live in many different places and, you know, have experiences with diverse populations, that's amazing too. And so how can we learn from them? And so it's a great place to give and take the experiences of military families, as well as how our K-12 leaders can also meet the challenges that military families confront.